What is up, Wolfpack? This is the Wolf of Roto Street here with your daily draft wizard. Every Monday through Thursday, right around 5:30 through 6 o'clock, we customize daily drafts to your needs. So I am here with 1 out of 12 in a PPR league for Abate today. Got another one of 4 out of 10 in PPR for Andrew. We're going to crush through those. So if you're tuning in and would like a live draft done for yourself, just let me know and I'll make sure to get to that. But of course, if you don't mind liking, sharing, and all that good stuff, that always helps us get found. And that's our goal, is to help as many people out as possible. So as you can see, we got the 1 out of 12 spot here for Abate PPR. It's the format. There's 3 wide receivers and a flex, so we're going to go pretty deep in this one. So a lot going on there. Sorry, again, we're getting off to a late start. Technical difficulties getting this shit up every day. OBS is a pain in the ass. So if you're good at it, let me know. Alrighty, but we're going to get going here, and let's start this draft now for Abate. So one pick, who do you can you consider one overall, especially in PPR? You're looking at potential. You want the workhorse. You want the workhorse that's going to catch a lot of balls. For me, I really like Alvin Kamara. That's who I'm going to go Abate here. Even though C-Mac also offers that 100 catch upside, that 30 point, every week type of ceiling. Saquon, even a little safer rushing wise, but ultimately, I don't love the Giants. I think the surrounding talent is so low for Saquon Barkley. Could end up being one of those David Johnson-style situations. Who they have as their number one receiver right now, Cody Lattimore. So it's pretty ugly. I would much prefer to go someone like Alvin Kamara here. That's my number one. If Zeke comes back, that will change. But until he comes back, you really cannot feel comfortable going Zeke Elliott. So right now at the top of my board, I have Alvin Kamara. That's in PPR. That's in half PPR. That's in pretty much any league. Even standard, probably the high touchdown upside of Alvin Kamara, especially with now Mark Ingram gone. Latavius Murray will vulture. Yeah, he'll get his share. But ultimately, he's not what Mark Ingram was, which means that Alvin Kamara is in the best spot of his career, and he's already been a top 4 running back each of his first 2 seasons. So I love Alvin Kamara. He's who I go number 1. And Antonio Brown, a little bit risky right now. He's got those foot injuries, the blisters. Like, what does that suggest about his commitment, his head, where that's at? I mean, he doesn't wear the right shoes in his chirotherapy, is what they said. So now and it's foot injury too. This guy that relies on his foot quickness, his routes. He's so good at that stuff. But if that's reduced and it lingers into the season, you're looking at a major concern. So I do like going wide receiver here. I'm going to actually side Mike Evans, though. No issues there. Bruce Arians' explosive attack. Apparently he is thrilled and just been gushing about Mike Evans since joining the Bucs. So he's going to make him his offensive centerpiece, his focal point. So I'm going to go Mike Evans instead of Antonio Brown, who again is falling a little bit on my rankings until those feet get right, until I know he's ready to roll. I'm not a humongous fan. I don't mind going receiver. I like Keenan Allen in a full PPR. T.Y. Hilton, a little bit less PPR appeal, but ultimately still a great play. Running back, I don't know there's a huge edge to any of these guys. I love Derrick Henry, but he loses a little bit of luster in a PPR league, full PPR. Aaron Jones, if he shakes this hamstring and shakes Jamal Williams, would be a great pick. Now Marlon Mack's dealing with Donta Foreman there. Devonta Freeman, intriguing for sure. That line improvements, probably the closest thing to a true 3-down horse on this list, but now there's even rumblings that Brian Hill might still goal line work. So to me, none of those running backs inspire me to force a pick in there. You could look at Ertz, you could look at Kittle. AB's right in there, and normally this would be a no-brainer. It'd be Antonio Brown, but again, the feet are really kind of throwing me off here. But then Andrew Luck's kind of throwing me off for T.Y. Hilton. So is it Keenan Allen? I'll probably still go Antonio Brown. It's early enough. He's got plenty of time to heal. It's blisters. It's not like a bone or anything like that. So you imagine that stuff's going to get better. He's going to be able to play through that. So I'm going to go Antonio Brown. Still has got that 100 catch upside. Will probably lead the league in targets. There's really no one else to throw to there. I mean, Jared Cook racked up like 120 targets there last year. What's Antonio Brown going to do? We know Gruden loves his slot receivers. So they're saying Cooper Kupp is our top option. I'd rather have Tyler Lockett, not even looking at the running backs quite yet. But let me check out the running backs. I got 2 wide receivers, 1 running back, and Chris Carson, no-brainer right here. I just bumped him up my big board. More talk about him being even more involved as a receiver coming out of camp right now. He already was in line for the most rushing work in the league's run-heaviest attack. So everything about Chris Carson is trending the right way. I think he belongs in that kind of, Derrick Henry, Marlon Mack, early, late third tier. He belongs there. So the fact that I'm getting him this late is a no-brainer in my opinion. I think that's going to change. And then do you load up on 2 Seahawks and take a Tyler Lockett? He's my favorite receiver here. James White in PPR obviously gets a nice little boost up, catches a ton of balls. Same with Tariq Cohen. But Mark Ingram, true workhorse status, definitely can catch the ball too. Going to have the goal line carries. He's great at the stripe. It's going to be tough to pass him up. I was hoping David Montgomery might also be there. It would have been Lindsey as a no-brainer, but then they go and sign Theo Riddick, stealing some of his receiving upside. Plus, Royce Freeman's apparently been very impressive in camp. They're saying they're going to try to force a near-even split between those two. So now Lindsey's taking a hit. To me, it comes down to Mark Ingram, or when you look at wide receiver, Tyler Lockett. This is a 3-receiver league and then a flex as well, so I could potentially start 4 wide receivers. I really think he's on the next step, Tyler Lockett, to becoming one of those top 10 elite. I'm going to go with him. I know I just grabbed Carson too, so you're loading up on Seahawks, but that's never a horrible thing. Yeah, they run a slow pace. It's not the most creative offense, but Russell Wilson always puts points up on the board. And that division, especially if the Cardinals take that next step, that has a lot of shootout potential in that division. The Rams, those games, Rams, Seahawks always end up being like 30-40. So I like kind of getting a few pieces of that Seattle attack, especially when I think it's going to be pretty concentrated. You got Doug Baldwin gone, and now DK's banged up as an outside receiver. It's going to all pretty much funnel to our guy there. And then you got Kenyon Drake. I really don't mind Lamar Miller. I know he's not the most exciting player, but still, this guy's going to be a 3-down horse in a top 10 at least, maybe top 5. I mean, this offense for the Texans averaged over 40 points a game when they had everybody out there in terms of Will Fuller, Deshaun Watson, all those guys. And Lamar Miller has been the running back 8 when they have all their pieces out there too. They added some line improvements. They're still going to be one of the worst in the league. I'm not going to get here, and pretend like that's not true. But at the end of the day, you're looking again at the volume here. Talent might be unexciting, as low as it kind of gets for starting running backs, but the offense around him, the usage there after releasing Donta Foreman, no real threat at the goal line. That could be a top 10 running back available this late. So you can't really find 3-down horses this late in the draft. So I really am intrigued to go him. I love Matt Ryan, but I don't want to go quarterback this early. Not in a PPR draft. Now, there are some intriguing tight ends in terms of Jared Cook, Hunter Henry. This might also be the area where you took Alvin Kamara. You might have to take that plunge on Latavius Murray. And that's a little bit softened because he has 10 touchdown upside on his own anyways. So that gets a little tricky. Do I get a tight end here? Do I take my handcuff? Do I take Lamar Miller and the 3-down horse upside he has? I think you go Miller. I already have 3 wide receivers, so I'm not even really considering that. I mean, I guess I can look and see. I love Curtis Samuel. I love D.D. Westbrook, but I think, getting that tight end edge might be more of the play here. And I'm going to go Hunter Henry. I think his touchdown upside is sky high this season. Led the league in touchdowns for tight ends last time he played a full slate. So I really like Hunter Henry. I think he's going to be that next kind of elite tight end if it's not going to be O.J. Howard, which it is. Then my handcuff, the only other guy I really was considering, is already, he fell back to me. So that's kind of a blessing in disguise. Pumped about that. And then, you look, are there any other of those elite handcuffs? You got guys like Darrell Henderson. Darius Geis, if he ever separates, man, he could be a force. But it's risky right now. 3-headed, 4-headed nightmare even, and a gross offense. So I'm not sure how I feel about going in on him. Rashad Penny, the handcuff to Chris Carson. That's not a bad play. We've seen him have some injury concerns over his career as well. Austin Eckler, another intriguing name. So a lot of running backs here that I could get behind. In terms of, Darrell Henderson, an explosive guy for the Chiefs, a perfect fit for what they want to do. Sean McVay, as Adam Schefter told me on our podcast, thought he was the most explosive offensive player in the draft, and I'm going to trust McVay in his ability to scout offenses and know how to use the right players at the right time. I don't know why David Njoku's disgusting face would even pop up right here. In terms of receivers, if Kiki Cutie's the best, Geronimo Allison, it's probably thinning out, and it is. So there's no way. I saw Dante Moncrief down there. I like him. I see a quarterback in Jared Goff I like. But right now, if I was drafting today, I would have a hard time passing up Eckler on the sheer fact that maybe Melvin Gordon does hold out. And then I can also get my handcuff and Penny. So it comes down to these 3 running backs. I'm going to take 2 of them. It's like, which ones do I go with? I'd probably handcuff Chris Carson right there. Plus, Penny has plenty of standalone value and what's, again, promising to be one of the most run-heavy attacks. Oh, I thought I had 2 picks back-to-back. I guess not. So that's unfortunate. But I think Penny's the play, especially if you own Carson there, to lock in that handcuff upside. I know my guy Kyler's gone, which is very disappointing. I would have loved to have him. Matt Breida and Carlos Hyde, some intriguing running back names that are sitting out there. I love Dante Moncrief. I do want to add some receiver depth. I think John Brown brings a ton to the table, being labeled the most impressive player in camp right now for the Bills. So he intrigues me quite a bit. And then other than that, there's not much out there. So let's lock in Moncrief. And then Emmanuel Sanders, not a bad play. This is a top 10 receiver last year before going down. So with Kyler gone and it's still, Dak and Philly, even though I like Goff and the upside he brings, I guess he is a tier above the rest of these guys. And I don't really, I want to see Sanders get it done. Hey, what's going on, Anthony? Welcome into the show, man. Let me know if you got anything I could draft for you. I'll get Goff. I think he does have a good amount upside more than the rest of these guys. And, Dak Prescott I like and Philly Rivers I like. But if both of those guys went, I'd be, hurting right there. Carlos Hyde's still sitting there. That's a no-brainer in my opinion. I know Damian Williams is back today, which is great. But he also took second-team reps behind Carlos Hyde, who's apparently flashed a ton in Damian Williams' absence. I think he's one of the most high upside beyond round 10. If anything happened to Williams, maybe he starts from the season start anyways. Carlos Hyde, let's say he crushes it in some of these preseason games, shows well as a receiver. I wouldn't be shocked to see Carlos Hyde enter the season as a starter. You're getting him in round 10 right now. And even if not at this stage of the draft, if something happens to Williams, you're going to end up starting Carlos Hyde every single week that he's the starter there. That offense is that good. That role from Andy Reid is that good. So Carlos Hyde has to get more fantasy respect. Until he does, you got to be loading up on him in every single draft that you do. And then, I love drafting Kyler, but the one downfall is you do have to make sure you get a safe backup. But with Jared Goff, there's no real... The floor is as high as can be. The ceiling is pretty damn high, too, in the league's most explosive attack. So I don't feel the need to lock in. I love Justin Jackson. I didn't take Eckler, but there's a lot of rumblings that Justin Jackson may actually pick up that kind of... more Melvin Gordon early down plus reception style role, and Eckler would stay in his own role. So Justin Jackson, maybe that sneaky little James Conner type of appeal if Melvin Gordon does indeed hold out for the rest of this, And he said when Le'Veon Bell was holding out, support what he's doing. I would do the same exact thing if I was him. So who says he doesn't? Who says he's not a man of his word? I totally could see that happening. So let's just show you guys the draft board, what we've crafted at the first overall pick for you, Jake. I think you're tuned in here. It looks like it says you're here. Again, what's going on, Anthony? Good to see you. Let me know if there's anything I can draft. No comments going on. Baby, if I'm at least drafting for you, comment and make this fucking thing fun. Don't make me talk to a fucking wall. So I went Alvin Kamara, AB Mike Evans. So as long as AB's healthy, the foot a little sketchy, but as long as he's healthy, man, that's going to be sick. And the fact that Chris Carson falls in round 4 is just insane. And, I don't love Lamar Miller as my flex, but ultimately, you're looking at a 3-down workhorse and a very explosive offense that has been an RB8 formula for Miller in the past when they're all out there, Will Fuller stretching the field and all that. Tyler Lockett, an unbelievable wide receiver 3, and I'd be fine with him as my 2. So I didn't need great wide receiver depth. I got Moncrief in case. I got both of my top 2 running backs handcuffed, plus either of those guys, if Miller sucks, could potentially be flex plays, as could Moncrief. And then, locking in some upside handcuffs. Maybe Justin Jackson, again, opens that season as a starter. I really like what we built here. There's really not a pick here I look back at. I'm like, I wish I could redo that one. I would have loved to see Kyler Murray on this team because that's my quarterback I need to get. But Goff, definitely not a bad fallback plan there. Now we're just looking at pure handcuff range. For Chase Edmonds could be a very explosive runner in this offense if anything did ever happen to David Johnson. So that could be a play. I do want to kind of look at some wide receivers. Paris Campbell's unfortunately gone. I do like DK. I like the upside of Jameson Crowder. I'm not a Deshaun Hamilton fan. I know a lot of people are. That's not my guy. I think Trey Quinn brings a ton of upside to the table. And I really like Keyshawn Johnson. I'm just going to kind of highlight some penny stocks I really like, guys. Tony Pollard, unbelievable, especially with Zeke out right now and potentially holding out. So I'm kind of, especially if I'm drafting at this stage of the offseason, I really like kind of getting the highest possible upside guys. Best case scenario for Tony Pollard, Zeke holds out. You got yourself a fantastic runner. Maybe it's Alfred Morris, gets a lot of the goal line work and probably some early down stuff, but still, that's upside right there. And then, PPR, I like to get that safety of Trey Quinn, 90 catch upside. So yeah, I think everything about this draft is going swimmingly. Hunter Henry, round 7, could be that next 10 touchdown tight end. They're saying Jack Doyle, which I think this stage of the draft isn't horrible if I wanted a safe backup to Hunter Henry. But I don't really need if I'm spending a top 7 pick, a 7-round pick on a tight end, I'm not going to reach out. What's going on, Andrew? Got you coming up next, my man, Dorfman. So to me, I'm going to go with the air raid, little cheap potential of the air raid. Keyshawn Johnson, one of my favorite sleepers. Beatty, look at the elusive A. I feel like I always get like C's and D's on Draft Wizard. But you got me. I got an A for you here. So I hope you took note of that one. That's a lot of upside. Again, let's just kind of show you how that went round by round. Kamara at the top. He's my no-brainer. Most people take Saquon. It's Kamara for me. Safer in the better offense. 2 great stud receivers. An unbelievable value in Carson. I think Tyler Lockett fits in great as a 3. Unbelievable. Miller, low upside. Seemingly unsexy, but that offense is so sexy that maybe he can carve it out. He's lost some weight, feeling good about himself this offseason. Hunter Henry, Latavius Murray, Rashad Penny, both handcuffs that I needed with standalone appeal. Handcuffs with benefits, we like to call them. Moncrief, my favorite, upside wide receiver. You got Goff leading the charge. No Kyler Murray, one of my only disappointments. Where did he end up going, though? I mean, he went round 8. I'm never going to take a quarterback that early, so give me round 11, Jared Goff. Look at these upside running backs here. You got, some upside receiver plays. I think this is fantastic. Alrighty, guys. Finally, some comments coming in here. Wolf, Hags, I'm doing great, man. How are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Glad to see you, buddy. Hopefully the work week's treating you okay. The Twitter seems to still be rolling all right, too. Alrighty. We're going to get you going here. Andrew Dorfman, thanks for tuning in. I know you were one of the next requests. So just correct me if any of these are wrong. I have it saved as 4 of 10 in a PPR league. I've got 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. So this is going to be a pretty dense, a lot of talent's going to be out there because it's only 10 teams and you're only starting 2 wide receivers at tight end. I don't draft kickers and defenses anyway, so I'm not worried about that. That's all what I stream. So I believe that is the settings. 4 of 10, 2-2, a flex, and that's what I'm kind of worried about here. Correct me if anything's wrong there, Andrew, but I'm going to get that going for you. 4 is a tough spot to draft, though. I will admit that right from the top. Until we know more about Zeke, and 4 used to be my favorite spot to draft because I love any of those big 4 running backs. Until we know more about Zeke, though, this is a tricky tread lightly situation. I hope he goes earlier and somebody just doesn't really assess that risk. Even though, again, he'd be my number 1 pick if I knew he was playing today. But I don't know that. So then Kamara, you just saw me take him at 1. I'm going to take him at 4, obviously. I don't need to justify Kamara again to all you guys. Unbelievable value there if he ended up falling in a real draft. And then you're looking at, look at these running backs that have fallen to me. Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, 2 top, 10 guys. 2 guys I have in my top 10 running backs. And I really like in the PPR especially, both guys come with tons of receiving upside. Damian Williams right in that conversation if he gets himself healthy and reclaims and dominates that role. I'm going to go Joe Mixon here, the Todd Gurley of Zach Taylor's Rams-style attack. I think he's going to be a fantastic receiving beast this year. We already saw him put up top 7 running back numbers last year. No brainer to me when you fall that far. And then I'm going to make sure I get a target hog here. I like Keenan Allen. Until I know more about Andrew Luck especially, I'm going to go this way. Boom. And I got Keenan Allen locked in right there. And so I've started with 2 horses, absolute steeds. And now I've got, this is a 10-teamer. Maybe that's why those guys tend to fall. But goddamn, that's crazy. And then you look in, PPR. Even though he's not a PPR stud, you got Derrick Henry, a potential 2,000-yard rusher, a 20 TD upside, even if that offense sucks. You know my love for Chris Carson. So I'm going to maybe see there's a bunch of running backs I love there. So I like these wide receivers. I like Tyler Lockett the most. Although the 2 Rams guys obviously very intriguing. But I'd be so intrigued to see what Tyler Lockett does. So he's up there. O.J. Howard, a humongous edge gainer. But, man, these running backs are going to be tough to pass up on. Marlon Mack, Donta Foreman does worry me, yes, quite a bit. But, man, that upside is humongous at this stage. But I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. That's a guy I have in my top 30, top 25 even. And he's still sitting there right now. So even though it's not a PPR play, you only start 2 wide receivers, which also changes things a little bit. I don't feel the pressure that I have to get my wide receiver this round. I might even prefer to go, Henry and Carson and lock in 2 running backs. I'm not going to get well graded because of that type of move. But still, the upside is enormous. Do I go Tyler Lockett and lock you in? Oh, Tyler Lockett went. Look at that run on wide receivers. So now I really don't feel a huge ton of pressure. But, man, it's going to be a tough drop-off if I'm looking at one of these guys as a starter. Even though I have these guys so much higher. But, again, 10-teamer is all about gaining edges where you can. And I think O.J. Howard presents an enormous edge. Cooper Kupp really is ready targeting that week 1 return. He had 6 touchdowns in like 4 weeks last year. So that guy was a beast. Now all those other Rams are gone. I was hoping, one of Godwin, Tyler Lockett, any of those guys might fall. I couldn't pass up on Derrick Henry, and I still don't regret it. I'll go Cooper Kupp. He's not too low on my board. I'd like any piece of that Rams offense I can get. And right now, the depth is definitely at running back. See, there's Chris Carson. I'm not even going to think twice. I'm just going to take him. He's an unbelievable value. He's a guy I was considering last round. So let me lock him in for you. And then let's see what tight ends are kind of lingering because I want that edge. Jared Cook and Vance McD both offer huge edges at this stage. I love Robbie Anderson too, though, the big dick Robster. So I'm going to go with Robbie just again because I don't love Cooper Kupp, that injury risk going on there. So I'm going to go big dick Rob and then hope that one of Cook or whoever the other fucker, Vance McBig Dick, falls back down to you. I like Will Fuller's upside. Tariq Cohen in a PPR. It's great value. You already heard my rant about Lamar Miller. We got our handcuffs both here. So lots of running backs I'm still intrigued by. But let's go with that 10-plus touchdown upside of Jared Cook. I'm going to lock that in and get that tight end edge, ideally, for my team. And that's right, your 4 picks, so it's going to come back to us pretty damn quickly. I love all these quarterbacks that are still available to me. And it looks like 9 or so are off the board already. And in a 10-teamer, that means you're going to be the last guy to take one. No rush. Absolutely no rush here, Andrew Dorfman. Let me know what you think about this squad so far. I like both the upside of Dede and Curtis. But I think this is the stage where let's lock in your handcuff and Latavius Murray. A lot of upside with him anyways, but we don't want something to happen to Alvin Kamara and to get nothing out of them. That would be awful. Tariq Cohen, though, that upside this late in a full PPR league, that's also very tricky to pass up on. I love David Montgomery. I think he's going to be a true 3-down horse, but they're going to find ways to get Tariq Cohen. What an explosive player, the ball there. So, again, just let's see what we got here. Kamara, Mixon, Henry, Carson. I mean, that stable is just unbelievable. So maybe I don't need to go running back at all. I could handcuff Kamara. But then, Keenan Allen, Cooper Kupp, and Robbie Anderson, not bad at wide receiver either. I think, obviously Keenan's as good as it gets. Between Cooper and Robbie, I feel like you're going to get somebody quite talented there. And then, I love D.D. Westbrook. I love Curtis Samuel. So it's like, which one of those guys do you go with is a tricky debate here, Dorfman. I'm not going quarterback yet. I feel so good about my running backs. It's like, would Tariq Cohen, Lamar Miller, would they ever touch my lineup? I'd probably rather just handcuff Latavius Murray. But let's load up on some receivers I like. And I really, really like D.D. Westbrook here. I think he comes with immense upside for his cost right now. Nick Foles, the QB upgrade. John DeFilippo loves peppering the slot. So give me him. I think that was like a kind of tier. There goes Latavius. I was hoping he'd fall to us. But alas, he did not. I did want to get your handcuff for you here. So maybe now it's time to start considering getting your quarterback. Although I love Darrell Henderson. Again, this stage, it's like who has the most upside. You got Austin Eckler in case, our guy Melvin Gordon isn't playing. We already got our tight end edge, but Vance McBigdick is still sitting there. That's an intriguing pick. You know my love for Dante Moncrief if you've ever tuned into these. Huge fan of him. Huge fan of John Brown. Love DK. Love Paris. So there's still some wide receivers that intrigue me. But I think there's nobody with quite the upside of Darrell Henderson at this stage of the draft. They've compared him to their Kamara. And then if anything ever happened to Todd Gurley with that banged up knee, look out. So 10-teamer, I'm still waiting on quarterback. They're still going to be good guys. I might take the stab on Vancey McD, and then, out of those two, Jared Cook out of Vance, one of those two is probably going to pan out in a decent way. I'm not looking, Geronimo of the slot, intriguing. I do love the quarterbacks, but I mean, again, you got Kyler, Winston, Big Ben. There's plenty of talent here. It's one of those things, though. Do you lock in your guy? Do you lock in your version of Pat Mahomes? Do you hope he falls another round when you got guys like Carson Wentz and Cam Newton still roaming around here? I think I do. I think Vance McDonald, if I was drafting today, that's the upside. So let's hope one of those three. Wentz is gone, Cam is gone, but Kyler, he made it to us. So I'm going to go Kyler Murray here. Lock in that air raid engineer. I think he's going to be an absolute monster. And then you got to get a safe quarterback, so I'm looking at like a Big Ben, Philly Rivers. Jameis Winston, I love him if I miss on Kyler, but I don't want both of those guys because there's a lot of risk associated with both. And then again, stacking up your bench with as much upside as possible. We're looking at like a Jalen Samuels, a Carlos Hyde, those guys that if the guy in front of them goes down, you're going to get a guy that you actually start. I love Mark Andrews, though, at tight end. We have two tight ends already, though. I'm not going to go another one. John Brown, really the only receiver, although DK Metcalf, potentially my guy. Robbie Anderson, best wideout in the NFL. Heggs, I know you and me will always love this guy. D.D. Westbrook or Curtis Samuel, PPR. I was just debating that, Anthony. That was a tough one. I went right now, I still would go D.D. Westbrook, the more natural number one. Apparently been the standard of camp, just like Curtis Samuel is, though. They're both fantastic players. When you side with Samuel, you side with the offense, which is better. But I'm hoping Nick Foles really elevates the Jaguars to another level with D.D. Westbrook ascending the most as his true number one target. So I think here, at this stage, I might go for the upside of one DK Metcalf. Let's check this team, though. Make sure, let's look at the draft board again. We got, 3 rounds left. Not a ton of wide receiver depth. I mean, decent. Carlos Hyde, though. Like, how do you pass up on Carlos Hyde if something ever happened to Damian Williams, stacking that bench? Jalen Samuels. And especially in a PPR league, I think he has a little more standalone value. Jalen Samuels. Kyler's going to kill it this year. Jimmy Bridges, my man, knows what's up. Want to go to the first Jets game? Hell yeah, I'll come to the first Jets game, dude. I'll come with you. Why not, right? Whenever they face the Patriots, that's my team, Andrew. I know we're rivals in that sense, but if you ever want to bring me out, I would gladly come to the first Jets game whenever they face New England. I think it's week 2, actually, we get you guys. I do want to get a safe backup for Kyler, but there's still plenty of quarterbacks I like here. So it's between who do you like more on your bench here? Is it Carlos Hyde, Jalen Samuels? Do you want the upside of a John Brown, which is tons of upside, the DK Metcalf, like it's between those four for me. DK, John Brown, Carlos Hyde, or Jalen. I'm going to go with Hyde just on the off chance he does emerge as the starter after Williams was out for that extended time. He's taken all the first team reps and apparently impressed very much in that role. And then DK fell right back to me. I do like Kalen Ballage as well, the starter right now there. But you don't need a starter. And his ceiling ultimately isn't that great. In a 10-teamer, you want all the upside you can get. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm stacking upside after upside after upside. And so now I think this is where we lock in Big Ben, get a nice safe backup for Kyler Murray, just because he's not a guarantee. As much as I love him and as much as I think he's going to kill it, I don't think I'm going to get graded quite as high on this one. A B, not bad. I'm getting B's and A's today, which is a shocker because I don't usually do quite so well. Oh, Jesus. Sal Pal announces. So my guy, CJ, I'm guessing, is commenting in from the Roto Street. Maybe that's Hags. I'm not sure. But Sal Pal just announced Antonio has extreme frostbite in his feet from the cryptotherapy, and the Raiders have no timetable. That is terrifying, folks, for a receiver any receiver. The feet are such an important aspect of what you do in terms of all the intricate routes and whatnot, and that's what he makes his money off of, Antonio Brown, the toe tappers, the smooth routes. That is frightening. And again, you question, how serious this guy's taking it if he's not going into chirotherapy with the right footwear. I mean, come on. So let's just run down this team one more time. That's huge news, though. He's going to probably take a decent hit. He should be back for week 1, you'd still think, but extreme frostbite in his feet. I mean, that does not sound good. Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, 1-2 punch, that's insane. The stable of horses can't be argued. You're going with Kamara, Mixon, Henry, Carson. You're getting 3 20-point guys at least every week between those 4. And then receiver-wise, you only have to start 2. So between Keenan, Cooper, and Robbie, and maybe even Dede, one of my favorite breakouts, I think you're getting a quality number 2 to Keenan's number 1. And then Jared Cook, I love the touchdown upside, and if he doesn't pan out, Vancy McBig Dick, but then the huge upside bench plays. Again, 10-teamer, it's all about upside. Like, why stash a Ballage, who's never going to enter your starting lineup over these 4? But Darrell Henderson, if Gurley went down, might. Carlos Hyde, if Damian Williams goes down, might. DK Metcalf, if he develops into that true body and develops his route running, could potentially top some of these guys up here. And then, Kyler Murray is upside as it gets from a quarterback perspective. Big Ben to back him up safety-wise. I love this team. My only complaint would be who would you cut when you have to get your kicker in defense? So, Andrew, I hope that helped. I took a screenshot I can send to you. CJ's doing homework. Yeah, Higgs, thanks for updating us. I appreciate it. CJ is awfully useless, so I appreciate it. All right, you think Curtis Samuel could outperform DJ Moore this year? Good question, Anthony. Is it within the realm of possibilities? Absolutely. If I had my choice who I'm picking, it's DJ Moore, one of the most explosive run after the catch receivers we've seen in quite some time. So I really like DJ Moore. But I do really like Curtis Samuel. Maybe could develop into a more complete receiver. Also very dangerous after the catch. Was kind of a hybrid running back receiver. An interesting fact on him was, he cited it himself, was took a couple years to get going in high school. His third year, his junior year, he broke out. College-wise, took a little bit to get adjusted. His third year, he broke out. It's now his third year in the NFL. Is he going to follow that every 3 years trend and break out in his third year? Maybe. Everyone's saying he's light years ahead of where he was last year. Everyone from Ron Rivera to Nerve Turner to his receivers coach to Christian McCaffrey and all his teammates. And every time you watch Twitter, this guy's making another highlight play. So I do love Curtis Samuel, Anthony. He's one of the biggest risers on my big board from this preseason. So yes, I like him, but I would still go DJ Moore. Even if there is a possibility Curtis outscores him, I like Moore to score more out of those guys. Alrighty, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm actually going to be going live in about 40 more minutes or so, trying to test out a live stream podcast where I go over the preseason winners, losers, and injury concerns, which Antonio Brown's now going to have to update. So if you're free at 7 o'clock, I will be live with all that good stuff and making our first attempt at doing a live podcast show of the early camp risers, fallers, and injuries. So tune in. It'll get you all caught up before preseason action is back tomorrow, folks. Let's get it. I'm the Wolf of Roto Street, at Roto Street Wolf. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Message me if you want one done for you and your settings. Daily Draft Wizard is out.